Hey fellas, I'm looking over the blog and one of the women has spoken up. I suggest you find her comments under part 2, female conversation part 2. Sugar 44120 writes, from another female's perspective, Jovina is correct. Women are very intuitive. We can tell that something is wrong before you even open your mouth. All the stuff that I'm trying to get you guys to do to straighten out all that bullshit on the inside, like in my 7 steps program, yeah, they can tell before you open your fucking mouth. That's what I've learned. TFL guys are alone because of their own doing, and that is true. As I said, they can go out and get a 500-pound woman, okay? If they were true to their word, they want someone to love them for them, then that's exactly what they would do. Because they want to be loved for them. So why not give your love to a woman that's extremely overweight? You could help her bring her weight down by giving her love. A lot of women eat because they're unhappy. It can be an emotional thing. You could actually bring light and happiness to a woman's life and your life. And you don't have to have sex. You could share the camaraderie of having female companionship. So all that bullshit they talk about is just that, bullshit. Now, if they put out there that, well, I only want someone who's a 10, then you're full of shit, okay? If they say I deserve to have a woman as hot as, you're full of shit. No, you don't. She writes, you get what you put out in this world. And I've noticed that in my dealings with women, they tend to, we always think that women are all foo-foo and all that kind of shit. I've learned they tend to be no nonsense. And you guys will probably find out the harsh truth of that when you're dating one and they decide it doesn't work for you or it doesn't work for them. They dump your ass. They may cry about it, go through an unhappy period, but they dump your ass. They move on. Many of them. And many of them do get caught up in very charismatic guys and can't get free. But the majority of them, they got a no-nonsense attitude because they have to. If you look at the ancient history of women in the program that went in, as to why we're here today, they had to have that in order to find the dominant males in the group. Okay? That's why, weak men did not exist in the old days. If you go back far enough, you didn't find weak men like you find today. You wouldn't find a fella hanging out in a village saying I'm true forced loneliness. That kind of concept did not exist. And there's no reason for it to exist today. She writes, when a woman spends time with a man, she's looking to relax. She's looking to unwind. She's looking to enjoy herself and have a good time. Okay, I'm paraphrasing now. And I'm going to quote now, no woman or person in general role wants to be around someone that is always negative. Now, remember I talked about small Mr. Negative and tall Mr. Negative? Do you see them in my life? No. I keep them way at a distance. I haven't spoke to tall Mr. Negative in probably about 5 years. I take that back. I think about 4 years ago, I got a text from him and I texted him back. Some people just so negative, and these people are just like that. In fact, tall Mr. Negative, I could see him becoming a TFLer. I could totally see that. Even though he's a 6'2", green-eyed black guy, good looking, I could totally see him. He's so negative. I could totally see him being just like that. So it's not about looks either. The people that end up in the TFL, it's just about their inner attitude, their inner beliefs. what they believe about the world, what they believe about themselves. She writes, and by the way, that I hate the world and feel sorry for me attitude is a sign of weakness. It is emotional immaturity. No woman wants to be with a weak man, as Supreme has said time and time again. We want providers and protectors by nature. You don't have to be a mixed martial art fighter or Mike Tyson, but you can't be a grown baby either. You at least have to try. Most women would rather be with an okay looking guy that has a positive attitude than a fine looking man who is always negative. Do you guys hear that? I think I should repeat that because I have guys who hear things and then they twist it. So I'm not paraphrasing, and you're welcome to go read the exact words yourself. Most women would rather be with the okay looking guy that has a positive attitude than a fine looking man who is always negative. Most women, she didn't say all, most women. Okay? Now, if you get hung up on all and suddenly that's the end of the world for you, you don't belong on this channel. You belong to TFLers because that's all they'll see. So I want to thank Sugar for speaking out, and if any other women that are watching this would like to say something, I think the guys really need to hear your comments because it helps when women speak out and show these young men how you guys are really thinking, because they don't have one clue. A lot of the men, you know, all they hear is the PUA side of things, which is kind of like the Catholic Church used to be and still is, male dominated, you know, one perspective, which is the wrong perspective because you got two human beings on the planet, types of human beings on the planet. You got male and female. And I'm not a woman's libber. You know, I'm all about male empowerment, but I'm not about squashing females down either. I'm not a suck up. I'm just a human being. I see things as it truly is. We got Wizzle One. He's a new guy. You got to excuse him. He's new. He just started watching the channel, just saying, "Everybody, calm down. Nobody's upset here." There, Wizzle One. We're laughing at the Bill guy. What you need to do is go, instead of going on just what you see here, you know, a piece of information, go get the complete picture before you speak again. Go investigate the True Force Loneliness movement. And if it doesn't disgust you to your core as a man, then we got to do some work on you, period. Because I can't see any man worth his salt as a man not being disgusted by these guys. Let's see, at PS, I hate some things, but I more or less pity TFLers. I don't pity them. I don't really think about them. Unfortunately, it's not that important in my book, in my life. They're on the show now because I found that guy's video. I made a comment to him, and then of course, I knew he was going to do that, come all back and shit like that. And he doesn't want me to. He thinks that by talking to me that he can explain what TFL is all about, but he doesn't realize that I listened to, I think his name is Calvin, or whoever the light-skinned guy is, explain what they're all about. I understand what their movement is about. I don't agree with it. Okay? It's like I listen to what the KKK people are all about. You know, they want racial purity. They want to eliminate all the blacks and other Mexicans and other races out of the country. And I understand what they're about. Doesn't mean I agree with it. Okay? So, in fact, I actually go out of my way to watch shows on them because I've been trying to understand and to get a complete picture before, you know, I say anything. And I think I've done pretty well at that. You know, I've watched quite a number of shows on them. I actually looked into the history. I traced their history back. There was some creepy dentist guy that really got the movement started. And that's what I see with Bill here. He's like this creepy guy. And the guy who really, because the KKK movement actually died out at one point. And this guy looked like a child molester. I mean, he looked like one of those people like Bill who had never had power in his life. But he learned to speak some gibberish that these people liked and resonated with. And this guy, if you see his photograph, he was a fucking dentist. Or not a dentist, but he was a businessman. He was a loser. He had failed everything. He tried to be a preacher. He failed at that. He was a total life failure. Excuse me for saying dentist. He looked like a dentist. You know, the balding head and, you know, how people looked back in the 1800s, early 1900s. A total loser. Skinny, scrawny, no body, just like Bill. Okay? Just like Bill. Balding head. And, you know, I'm looking at this man, and he learned to get passionate about a subject that other people tied into. Okay? I study orators, people who orate. I studied Jim Jones back in the days. I studied, you know, people like, my mind's getting old now, Billy Graham, great orators. I studied Khalid Muhammad. He's still my favorite orator, by the way. I studied, you know, Malcolm X, most of the black orators, and Caucasian orators. I've studied Anthony Robbins, the way he delivers speeches and stuff. And I recognize when people, also I'm a public speaker, and I recognize when people are trying to tap into something to get people riled up and rabble rouse, okay? So as I was watching this guy from the KKK a long time ago, I could see those elements in him. You know, a lot of them have the same type of life. They were losers. They failed. They finally found something they could latch onto to get people to support them and give them power, energy. So he was the one who turned it around because it had failed. It started failing. You know, the government had pretty much squashed it out, and he brought it back to life, and it spread again. See, that's how deep I go into something. You know, I want to understand the roots of it. And I know about the Masonic connection to the KKK. A lot of people don't know about that. I know the Mason stuff came out of Egypt. You know, I study the real stuff. So before you speak out on something, you want to find out more about it. And I did find out more about the TFL movement quite some time ago. And I don't agree with it. I really don't. And any man, as I said, worth his salt will not agree with that stuff. And I think it's time to bury the TFL movement, you know, on this show. So I do appreciate the women speaking out. Wizzle One, you might want to go do some research. And you could choose who you want to pity. I just don't give them any thought. Once I'm done with this, you know, I'm be moving on to something else. It was interesting for a while. It got me innovated up, and I did some shows on it. But there's no more benefit to me. Sorry, Bill. I done pimped you out, and you're like a hoe. You didn't live past your prime. In looking at Jovina's Conversation Part 1, a lot of interesting comments. One of our brothers went and watched the show with Creepy Dave in it, and he thought it was all about body language. Okay, what you got to understand is the energy that you have inside creates your body language. And women pick up on not just the body language, that's just the visual. They get a gut feeling. Okay, understand? It's beyond body language. They have an instinct. They have to have that because it's a survival mechanism for humanity. If women did not have that, as I said, mankind would have